I am beating every N64 game, and I mean all of them. The twist is, the next game I play is randomly selected, so I have no clue what's coming next. This is the journey to beating every N64 game. Game number 139, the new Tetris. Released in 1999, this game was developed by H2O Entertainment and published by Nintendo. This is our first Tetris game of the challenge, and I think there are 4 in total on the console. If you've been watching this series, then you know I kinda struggle with puzzle games. At least Tetris, I already know how the game works, but I won't try to pretend I'm amazing at it. Still, who doesn't enjoy Tetris? Even people who don't play video games at all probably know what it is. I'm curious how this is going to play out though. How different can Tetris be? Are all these Tetris games just going to be clones of each other? Guess we're going to find out right now. Let's get into it. When you turn the game on, all you can really do is select one player, where it asks you to create a profile. You can play against a CPU opponent from easy to master difficulty, and the modes you can play are Marathon, Sprint, and Ultra. I started just playing Marathon by myself. The colors of the tetrominoes are standard other than the square piece. It's gray, and this is due to a special mechanic the game has that I'll talk about later. Unlike many other Tetris games, you don't have a score here. Instead, getting a Tetris gives you 1 bonus line, so it's still worth it to go for. Tetris meaning you clear 4 lines at once. I lost pretty quickly. Look, prior to this playthrough, I hadn't touched Tetris since Tetris 99 initially released on the Switch. I was a bit rusty. Also, I never really was an expert to begin with. So now I tried out the Sprint mode. It's just your plain old Tetris, except you're limited to how many lines you can clear in 3 minutes. It was in this run that I discovered a unique mechanic this game has, multi-squares. By making a 4x4 square with only 2 unique types of pieces, it turns into a large silver square. Clearing a line on this gives 5 bonus lines for a total of 6. If you manage to make a 4x4 square with only 1 type of piece, that's a mono square. It turns gold and I believe gives 10 bonus lines per clear. It feels weird to do for someone just used to playing traditional Tetris, but it definitely sets the game apart from others. Next, I checked out Ultra mode. This is a speedrun mode where you try to clear 150 lines as fast as possible. It's a good way to test your skills at moving as fast as possible, prioritizing. Yeah, I definitely died at 25 lines. I was still getting used to it, okay? The final thing this game has to offer is multiplayer mode. If you have friends, you can have up to 4 people battling at the same time. If you're like me, you have to play against the computer. Man, the CPU on easy difficulty is awful. What the heck are they doing over there? It sends garbage to the opponent like you'd expect in a typical Tetris versus match. I mean, come on. It's just hard to not look at how awful they're playing on that side. And I thought I was bad. In my next versus match, I managed to make a mono square. By far the easiest way to do it is just use 4 of the square blocks. I didn't get many of these at all because it's just so hard to focus on it. Well anyway, that's all the different content this game has. So what did I do to beat it? Well, there's no high score to achieve or anything like that, so that's not an option. I figured maybe I can just beat the computer on master difficulty. That'll probably be a big challenge and feel rewarding. Problem with that is I beat a master opponent 30 minutes into the game on my second try. I guess the AI isn't too smart in this one. So that's not a good option either. There is one other thing this game has, and that's what I decided on. In the main menu, there's a section called Wonders. These are structures you can unlock to view after achieving a certain number of lines collectively across all profiles. The first unlocks at 2,500 lines, while the final one unlocks at 500,000. Now, I don't know about y'all, but 500,000 lines seems like a bit much to achieve. It definitely feels like a 100% completion goal. I like Tetris, but that's a bit too much Tetris. I ultimately decided I'd just unlock the first wonder to show off what it's like for when you do get one. It only really makes sense to either just go for only the first one or go for all of them as a goal, you know? Before grinding that out, I'll take this time to talk about the graphics and music. The graphics are good enough. I mean, it's just Tetris, so what can you really ask for? One thing I particularly don't like in this version is the pieces merge into a single blob once they land. I find it makes it slightly harder to instantly identify pieces when each individual square isn't segmented. The backgrounds during play are cool looking though. The music in this one is quite wild. It's a mix of techno along with what I believe is called jungle drum and bass. Some of the songs sound good and others I just could not stand. It's pretty wild to hear these types of music from so long ago. I feel like the genre's changed so much since then. Anyway, I got to grinding to obtain my goal of 2,500 lines. After 3 hours or so, I made it. Even got a decent PB of 356 lines, although that's probably not amazing in the grand scheme of things. The wonder I received is a Mayan temple. When you view it, it shows a pretty wild cutscene of the camera moving through the rainforest with some animals, then it pans around the temple. Alright, that was actually kind of cool, not gonna lie. It shows everyone who contributed toward unlocking it, so it seems multiple people can grind the same file to unlock these, which is nice. The game's credits are just available at any time from the main menu. Now, you can't talk about the new Tetris without mentioning the best part of the game, which isn't the game itself, but what's on the cart. One of the lead devs, David Purdy, inserted quite a bit of hidden text on the cart. He figured no one would find it until years down the road. It actually only took people 3 days to find the files and post them online, so that didn't go so well. This actually ended up causing his company and him to get in a bit of hot water with Nintendo. I don't know what happened from that though. The main content is a rant about the people he worked with, the company, and the game itself. He seemed to really hate the producer of the game and how lazy he was. Basically says he just played StarCraft and EverQuest all day instead of actually working. He rants about someone at Nintendo that he had a problem. He said the problem with the graphic style, and he blamed it on his team instead of the team at Nintendo that suggested the style. It's all pretty interesting. Then he lists his 56 least favorite things. My personal favorite is the very last one, where he says everyone is just naming their game blah blah 64 instead of coming up with an actual unique name. You know what? I agree with this one. Have some originality. He says the game sucks and he's going to leave the company right after this is finished. There's also a bunch of various ASCII art drawn. If you're wondering, all this info is hosted on the cutting room floor and I've included a link to it in the description. But yeah, that's about all there is for this one. Game complete. So yeah, there you have it, my journey to beating the new Tetris. This was a pretty quick one, but well, there's not all that much you can do with Tetris. We all know and love it already. That being said, this was a pretty cool implementation of the game for the time period. The big square blocks were a unique idea and it creates a new way to play the game. I certainly struggled to make those without also completely destroying my setup. The music is definitely unique and stands out, although I think it's a bit too intense for Tetris. It plays well and there weren't really any problems I encountered. If you really like Tetris and want to try a new variant, maybe give this one a try. I gave it a 7 out of 10 for enjoyability and a 2 out of 10 for difficulty. Hey, thanks for watching the video. Have a sneak peek at the next game. 251 on the list. Could be anything. Let's see what we get. 3, 2, 1...